By sunrise, the river had returned something it had never returned before. Not a body, not an offering, but silence. The water stopped moving at the exact place where the woman had knelt the night before. In that village, there was a rule older than memory. You may drink from the river, but you must never ask it for more. She asked anyway, and what the river gave her saved her life that night, but made sure she would never truly belong to the living again. The village of Ajiroko was built around the river Iranayo, a slow-moving body of water that never flooded and never dried. The elders said the river was not alive. They also said it was not dead. People fetched water. Children played at its edge. Women washed clothes while speaking softly, not because they were told to, but because shouting near the river always felt wrong. Sade had once lived like everyone else, until hunger came and stayed. Her farm failed 3 seasons in a row. Her husband's fishing net tore the night he never returned. And when sickness took her child, the river flowed past her compound as if it had not noticed. People pitied her quietly. But pity does not fill a pot. At night, Sade sat by her door and listened to the river. Not because she believed it could help, but because it was the only thing that still sounded steady in her life. It was Baba Tund who warned her. He found her at dusk, standing too close to the water, staring as though expecting it to answer. "You are crossing the listening hour," he said. Sade did not turn. "I only came to fetch water," she replied. Baba Tund tapped his staff against the earth once. "The river hears best when the sun is gone," he said. "That is why we leave it alone." She laughed softly, not mockingly, just tired. "Then it has heard me suffer for years." Baba Tund's eyes hardened. There is a difference between being heard and being answered. He lowered his voice. "Our fathers made a law when this village was young. You may take from the river. You may thank the river. But you must never ask it for power." Sade finally looked at him. "And if someone does?" Baba Tund hesitated. That was his mistake. "When the river gives more than water," he said, "it begins to count." She said nothing after that. But that night, Kola the fisherman saw her walking toward Iranayo long after the moon had climbed. And the river did not turn her away. Sade returned to the river at a time no one else dared. The moon was thin. The village fires had died. Even the insects sounded unsure of themselves. She did not kneel this time. She stood at the edge of Iranayo and spoke the way people speak when they are done pretending. "I will not ask for riches," she said quietly. "I will not ask for long life." The river moved, just enough to wrinkle its surface. "I only want strength," she continued. "Enough to survive what is already killing me." She waited. Nothing rose from the water. No voice answered her. No wind stirred. So she did the one thing Baba Tund warned against. She named her need. "I need power," Sade said. "Just enough, I will return it." The river did not surge. Instead, the water closest to her feet grew unnaturally still, like a held breath. Then something cold wrapped around her ankles. She gasped and tried to step back, but the grip was firm, not violent, just final. The sensation moved upward, like a pulse traveling through her bones. Her fear vanished. Not faded, removed. By the time the water released her, Sade felt lighter, straighter, awake in a way she had never been before. The river flowed again, as if nothing had happened. The change did not announce itself. It revealed itself. The next morning, Sade lifted a basket of cassava alone, one that once required 2 people. Her hands did not shake. Her back did not ache. When she went to the farm, the soil parted easily beneath her hoe, even where the ground had always been stubborn. By afternoon, people noticed. By evening, they whispered. "She has been favored," someone said. "Hardship sharpens some people," said another. Only Kola said nothing. He had seen the river stop, moving once before, when a child fell in many years ago and never came back up. That night, Sade returned to Iranio. She did not speak. She simply dipped her hands into the water. The cold returned, brief, familiar. And when she left, the river slowed again. Only for a moment. Days passed. Sade prospered. Her crops grew faster than her neighbors. Her body moved with confidence. Hunger left her compound. People began to seek her advice. "How did you endure?" they asked. Sade always answered the same way. "I stopped begging life to be kind." Baba Tund watched from a distance. He noticed the river's edge retreating inch by inch, not drying, but pulling away from where Sade touched it most. He spoke to her once more. "You are walking with borrowed feet," he warned. "They will carry you somewhere you did not choose." Sade smiled. "I am finally standing on my own." That night, the river flowed slower than ever before. The second borrowing. It happened when Kola's net came up empty for the 5th time in a row. He came to Sade, eyes hollow. "The river no longer gives," he said. "Fish avoid my traps." Sade felt the pull before she admitted it. That cold, familiar pressure, asking to be acknowledged. She walked to Iranio with Kola following at a distance. This time, she did not speak aloud. She placed her palms flat on the water's surface. The river accepted her touch. And gave more. Kola watched the current shift suddenly, guiding fish straight into his waiting net. His joy was loud, immediate. The river was silent. That night, Sade could not sleep. Her dreams were heavy. She stood waist-deep in water that did not move, surrounded by shapes beneath the surface, counting. Not fish. Not stones. Moments. When she woke, her reflection in the water lingered half a breath longer than it should have. And far downstream, a child cried out in the dark. Not in pain, but confusion. Because the river had changed its course, just enough to reach somewhere it never had before. The debt was no longer invisible. It was organizing itself. The village noticed the river before it noticed the deaths. Iranio no longer sounded the same. Its steady rhythm, soft, patient, predictable, became uneven, like breathing interrupted by thought. Kola was the first to lose something. One morning, he found his canoe drifting untied at the riverbank. He was certain he had secured it. Certain enough to feel embarrassed for doubting himself. By afternoon, the canoe was gone. That night, Sade felt the cold again. But this time, it did not wait for her touch. It came while she slept. She dreamed of standing on dry land while the river climbed her legs, not rushing, measuring. When she woke, her feet ached as though she had walked for days. Fish returned to Iranio, but only near Sade's compound. Women whispered, "Why does the river favor one door? Why does it avoid the children?" Baba Tund gathered the elders. "The river is not giving," he said. "It is relocating." That same evening, a child slipped into the water downstream where the bank had softened unexpectedly. The river did not roar. It did not rage. It simply did not release. By dawn, the village understood what silence meant. Sade did not attend the mourning. She stood at the river's edge instead, shaking. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered. The water moved, just enough to wet her toes. Baba Tund came to her before sunset. "You must return what you took," he said. Sade laughed, high brittle. "How do you return something that now lives inside you?" The elder's voice dropped. "The river never lends," he said. "It allows, and it always remembers where its strength rests." That night, Iranio called her. Not with sound, but with pull. Sade walked into the water willingly. She submerged her hands, then her arms. "I will give it back," she said. "All of it, just stop." The cold surged upward violently this time. Not painful, but claiming. Sade screamed as strength drained from her muscles, replaced by heaviness. The river paused. Then it took more. Her breath shortened. Her heart raced. She staggered backward onto the bank, gasping. The river resumed its flow. Satisfied for now. Sade understood then. The river was not punishing her. It was correcting imbalance. Every time she borrowed strength, the river redistributed weakness elsewhere. She stood because others fell. Her crops thrived because others' soil failed. Her life continued because the river shortened others. The power had never been hers. She was only the channel. The river changed course again, slowly, deliberately. It crept toward Sade's compound inch by inch, reclaiming land. Kola returned pale. "My nets tear now," he said. Even when untouched. Baba Tun's voice trembled when he spoke. "The river has finished counting," he said. "It knows what is owed." That night, Sade sat by Iranayo and did not touch it. She watched the water pass. For the first time since her first borrowing, the river did not acknowledge her presence. That frightened her more than anything else. Because when a force stops watching you, it means the decision has already been made. The river reached Sade's compound at dawn. Not with violence. Not with noise. It arrived the way truth does. Quietly, when denial is exhausted. Water seeped into the earth beneath her doorway, darkening the soil without flooding it. Pots tipped. Footprints filled and vanished. The ground no longer remembered being dry. The village gathered at a distance. No one crossed the invisible line, where the river now claimed authority. Baba Tund stood closest, leaning heavily on his staff. "It has come for the last thing," he said. Sade nodded. She had not slept. All night she sat upright, feeling the borrowed strength finally abandon her completely. Her body felt its true age. Her bones remembered every hardship she had ignored. For the first time in months, she was only human again. And the river was done pretending otherwise. Sade walked toward Iranayo without fear. Not because she was brave, but because she finally understood. She stepped into the water until it reached her knees. The cold did not rush this time. It waited. "I know you never lent me anything," she said. "I know I only delayed the cost." The river flowed. "I won't ask for power," she continued. "I won't ask to live." The villagers held their breath. "I only ask this," Sade said softly. "Take from me what you took from them." The river stilled. The water rose, not higher but heavier. Sade felt something loosen inside her chest. Not her heart. Her name. Memory slipped first. Then recognition. Faces blurred. She screamed, not in pain but in loss, as the river stripped away her place among the living. When Baba Tund shouted her name, she did not turn. Because it was no longer hers. Sade collapsed into the water, breath shallow, eyes open, but empty of ownership. The river receded. Not dramatically. Just enough. Sade lived. But she was no longer fully present. She breathed, she walked, she fetched water. But she did not remember hunger. Or ambition. Or loss. She belonged to the river now. Not as a spirit, not as a sacrifice, but as a marker. From that day forward, Iranayo flowed normally again. Fish returned to all nets. The banks hardened. The village healed. But children were warned. Do not speak loudly near the woman by the river. Because when Sade stared into the water, the river slowed. As if checking its accounts. Baba Tund spoke only once more about it. To borrow power, he said, is to move balance without owning the cost. The river did not punish her, he added. It corrected the world. And long after Baba Tund was gone, long after the village changed, the elders taught one final rule. You may survive by borrowed strength, but you will repay it with what makes you yourself. And that is why, even today, the river Iranayo accepts cups, calabashes, and hands. but never answers questions. If you believe ancient stories still warn us about modern choices, then you already know why these tales must be remembered. This is African Folktale Hub,